All right, folks. He's 15 years old. He hosts a political radio program. He is the co-founder of Junior Factor Nation. Caiden Cowger, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good, Jason. How are you?
I'm doing great. So you've had quite the experience last week.
Yeah, pretty.
And I still have a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions about it, and I've talked to a lot of people who are asking me questions about it to see if I know anything. So I asked you to come on the show tonight and just kind of give us the details about it. First of all, just a very general question: what happened?
Well, what happened was we were redoing our landscaping, my dad and we were unloading mulch from the back of his truck. Well, as we were finishing up, my dad was getting back into the front seat of his car. We live in the city limits, but we own a hill, and from that hill, and we're not sure if it's from that hill or a neighbor's hill, there were two bullets that came down. The first bullet came down and went over my head, and at first we didn't know what it was, and you could hear it whirling by. And my dad was just getting into his truck, and then about 15 to 20 seconds later, the second bullet went over our heads. And by that time, my dad and I both knew what it was, and I ducked behind the truck and jumped in, and we went up to the road right beside of our house. And my dad yelled out his window that we're calling the law. So I called the police officer, or I called 911, and they said that there were not any officers available, and that they were all on another call, and that they didn't have anyone right now. They had already all been deployed. So right when they said that, Dad and I went to the house. He drove up to the driveway, ran the house, and I went in my bedroom, picked up my Remington 1100, and went on the back porch, and we looked around, didn't see anyone. There were two hunters that were up in the woods, and they were teenagers, and I knew who they were. And my dad went up to the woods to confirm, because at first we thought that they did it. But then when he was talking with them, they said that they had heard someone else up in the woods that was around 50 yards away. They said that they heard footsteps. So we're not sure necessarily if they did it or if it was someone else. But if it was someone else, it's that makes it a little bit even worse.
I have a few.
So we have no lead.
I have a few specific questions here. Just a few details that I want to ask you about. First of all, was there one man or two that you saw? Well,
there were two people that we had originally saw, and the hunters that I was telling you about, who we originally thought that it was. One of them, and we're still not sure if it was them or not, but one of them ran when my dad approached him.
And what happened to the second one? Oh, the hunters.
The second one was still standing there, and he talked. He talked with him a bit, and then eventually he left. He left too, and sort of fled the scene a little bit. We sort of found that a little bit suspicious.
So when you were in your yard and the shooting actually happened, there were two people there too?
Yeah, there were two people in the woods. My dad and I were the ones in the yard.
Okay, yeah, but I'm saying when you got when the shooting happened, when you were in your yard, and then the person or people took off and ran, was there one or two of them?
One of them took off and ran.
Okay. All right, I gotcha. And then were any bullets found?
We had a metal detector to check for them. We didn't find any of the. We searched the house pretty good, because when the bullet went by, it was pretty close. But we haven't had a metal detector to check. The police didn't do that. So really, we've just been trying to get a hold of one of them.
Let me ask you about that, because that's very, very strange to me. Why do you think that the police are responding in this way? That is not really responding at all.
Well, quite truthfully, I think it's the area. That's all I'll say about that.
Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. So, are you taking this to the media?
Not really. We're sort of we released what happened, just to document it and everything, to make people aware. But we've sort of been a little bit hesitant with like putting it out there and everything, because someone else could do a copycat and try something
right
that way, and we've just been cautious.
Right. So I read your post on Facebook when you first announced this, and also on Twitter too. And I first of all, you got a lot of support, people offering their prayer to you and everything like that, and I thought that was great. What I found really disturbing was some individuals saying that you're flat out lying. How do you respond to people like this?
Well, they, for one, they act like I was like they were there or something, and quite truthfully, I think that even if I would have been shot in the head, they still would have wanted to see proof.
Yeah, it's absolutely absurd to me.
And they were asking, show us proof, so I sent them a screenshot of the 911 calls that I placed. And they apparently didn't believe it and said, or I think that, quite truthfully, I think that they're trying to troll me or something, as they said, oh, so you were not talking for a minute or 2 minutes or whatever. And I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. I
mean, instead of saying, oh my God, that's so scary, I'm glad you're okay, these people are immediately jumping to, oh, you're lying. It just sounds so ignorant to me.
I mean, there were some liberals who did believe me, and they said that they had wished I was taller, but yeah.
Oh, that's great, too.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's the nature of the beast, Caiden.
Right.
So I think this is a question that a lot of people are wondering now. Last summer, you took a firm stand against homosexuality, and you know what happened with the Huffington Post and TMZ and all that other stuff. You have as anyone does who goes into political commentary, you have a lot of people who support you and a lot of critics. Is there any sign that this assassination attempt really was politically motivated?
We don't have very much information at all. All we know is the location of where is the relative location of where the bullets were shot from. I mean, we sort of suspect that it might have been like deep down, but like I said, there hasn't been an investigation or anything that has taken place. So therefore, we don't know 100%.
Do you personally think that it was politically motivated? I mean, I know you said you don't really have much evidence, but just going with your gut, you do believe that it was politically motivated?
Personally, I'm not sure if it was completely politically motivated. To a certain extent, I do believe that it was. But if you would ask me if I believe that it was on purpose and that it was intended to hit me or intended to scare me, pretty much, I can almost say for sure that I do believe that it was, because it was way too close. I mean, we heard it whiz by. I mean, that's how close it was. Those were pretty close. They were over my head, and I think that they were definitely. It was definitely done on purpose.
So let me ask you this: if more evidence was gathered, the police investigated this more, and it was eventually confirmed, let's say you found out who did this and it was eventually confirmed that this was indeed politically motivated, would you continue to do your radio program and speak up and fight for conservatism, or would you kind of, maybe take a break for a little while and hang low?
I will continue doing what I've always done and what I'll continue to do. I'm not planning on canceling my show anytime soon. Even if it did come to that, I plan on broadcasting till the end. That's how I look at it.
Are you worried about? I mean, did this experience make you more worried about continuing your broadcast, continuing your radio show? Or, I mean, there must be some element of fear here, is there not?
Well, quite truthfully, I mean, that was a pretty close encounter, and if something like that would happen again in the future, I have to say that I would still continue broadcasting. I wouldn't give it up. I just feel called to do that, and I don't think that anything could really break me away from it, including a bullet. Wow. But I plan on doing it until I die.
And that's extremely, extremely respectable. A lot of courage. I don't know. I don't know if many people would be able to continue broadcasting and to continue speaking their minds, especially after something like that happened, right. And especially if it was eventually confirmed that it was politically motivated. Just a lot of courage, and I really, really commend you for that.
Right, thank you.
It's very, very honorable. Caiden, thank you very much for calling into the program and sharing the details with us. It's always great talking to you, and I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jason.
No problem, Caiden.
Prayers too.
You bet, you bet. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see ya.
See ya. All right, folks. Caiden Cowger. I mean, you heard it right there. He said that he plans on speaking up till the end. And if that's not honorable, if that's not courage, then I don't know what is.
Factor Talk Radio.